log in and settle down. I hope I'm audible and clear to all of you. So we'll just wait for a few more seconds and we will get started. Thank you all for all those who have logged in and joined early. So hello once again. My name is Pranshu and I will be hosting today's webinar on getting started with Metabase. Metabase, in their own words, is the open source tool that makes everyone feel like they have got data superpowers. The simplest, fastest way to get business intelligence and analytics to everyone in your company. It lets everyone or anyone in your team ask questions without knowing SQL. So, but of course, you can use the SQL editor for more complex queries. Metabase enables you to build handsome interactive dashboards with filters, auto refresh, full screen, and custom click behavior. Just a few reasons why Metabase is worth considering. Our speakers will, of course, be elaborating on these and we'll have more to share. But before we proceed, just a little about us. WalkingTree Technologies boasts of a team of over 300 engineers and designers with our core focus on designing and building cross-platform web and mobile applications, performing system integrations, and enabling digital transformation. We offer solutions across the software development lifecycle, as you can see. A little bit about our speakers of the day. Abhilasha has a total experience of 17 years and a core strength lies in designing and building complex cross-platform applications. Passionate about technology and data, she now works extensively on combining state-of-the-art technologies in data engineering, machine learning, and business analysis to solve problems. Sai likes breaking down complex problems, building useful things, and experimenting with new ideas. He comes with an experience of almost 8 years now in data migration, data modeling, and data analysis. He also collaborates with our team of programmers, engineers, and designers to identify opportunities for process improvements, recommend system modifications, and obviously to develop policies for data governance. Now, before passing on the screen to Abhilasha, I'll just like to mention a few things. Your questions are most welcome, but please put them in the Q&A section and we will go through them at the end of our session. Secondly, the event is recorded and we will be sharing the recording with every one of you who has registered or is attending today's session. And lastly, if you have any questions, please do reach out to us on connect@walkingtree.tech or our website. I believe that's all from my side. Abhilasha will take over from here. Over to you, Abhilasha.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Pranshu, for the introduction. So the agenda for today, we'll be talking about Metabase, as we all know. So we look at the different features available in both open source and enterprise version of Metabase. Before we jump into a demo of creating dashboards depicting the financial health of an enterprise, and we'll look at different aspects of using the tool. And one of the main aspects being able to share Metabase dashboards. And finally, we'll conclude with comparing Metabase with the other popular BI tools and in what situations is Metabase a good choice to pick. So, so to start with, like before we get started with the tool itself, I just wanted to touch upon the need for data visualization. We know, we keep hearing data is the new oil, data is the new bacon. So everybody has a version of that. And we all understand that there is a lot of data which is getting accumulated. All the enterprises have tons of data which is getting generated on a daily or in fact hourly basis. But what's the use of that data? Just sitting in the data warehouse, the data lake, the database, if we are not able to make sense of the data. And that is what data visualization does. It helps us to make sense out of the tons of numerical data by bringing it into a pictorial format, a graphical representation, or like charts, graphs. So you can have a variety of charts like scatter plots, line graphs, area graphs. And what that does is the picture gives a much more easier representation to make sense out of the data. And these data visualization tools help us achieve that to like draw insights from the data and spot trends and outliers. And also we can take that to the next level by including predictive analytics using AI ML on top of the data. So if we just look at this, so this is like the data sitting in the Excel sheet or the database tables. Now, if the same data is presented in a form of a graph, it looks much more appealing, and then you can actually see like where you have the highs and the lows. So that makes it very appealing to the eye and quick to understand and comprehend. So that's what research also says, that visuals appeal more to our senses, and then quickly we focus and are able to derive more. So that's the idea, and that's what we achieve by quickly discovering trends, outliers, and being able to make business decisions out of this. Like we get to know where are the lows and the highs, and then we can accordingly act on top of the data. So if you look at the popular visualization tools available, we have like some of the popular ones like Power BI, Tableau. Then we have the open source versions like Metabase, Apache Superset, and we have other tools like we have these JavaScript libraries like D3 Highcharts, which give us even more power on customizing our charts and taking it to the next level. But to get started with, so these are some of the tools where you can actually quickly sign up and start building your charts and graphs. So for today, we are talking about Metabase. So what is Metabase? As Pranshu introduced, so it is an open source business analytics tool. It comes in two versions. So you have the open source free version, which you can directly host on your on-prem server, like, and then just get started using it. So you don't have to pay anything initially to get started, and like major features are available in the open source version, but you also have the cloud hosted version where you don't have to worry about the management of your like Metabase infrastructure and just easily use it. So it is like it is a very easy to set up tool, and so like if you are just getting started with data visualization, so this is really the tool to start with, because of the ease of it, which you can like get into it and then start using it. Also, it has like a good level of features. So you can start with a open source version, and then as your team grows and as you see more need of it and more advanced features, then you can pick to choose your professional or enterprise versions. But also recently, Metabase has received the SO2 SOC type 1 compliance, which is like a third party audit or compliance certification, which ensures like whatever data is present or being used in Metabase is secure. So security of the customer data is what has been certified as part of this compliance. Moving on, we'll look at the open source and the enterprise version features. So like this slide, I just wanted to summarize and show like the three levels of versions available, and then again this is available in both self-hosted, so you can host it at your end and pay, like you can start with open source, which has its own set of unlimited dashboards, charts, and then you can connect to 20 plus database types. You have some 15 plus visualizations, and then you can also have the basic sharing via email, Slack, setting alerts, and you have a support forum also. If you want to go with the next level for more advanced features, then you can have single sign-on for better control on who is accessing and bringing in more users into your application. Advanced embedding, if you want to white label your Metabase and associate it with your specific brand, you can have further row level permissions to exactly provide access to your user groups based on like at the row level of the data you can decide. Also, you can have audit logs of who is accessing which dashboard, what are the users who are working on your system. So those kind of things you can achieve with the pro version. And enterprise provides all this, and additionally, like these are like specific to enterprise. You can reach out to Metabase and like arrive at the support. So they provide a priority support and an annual billing structure. Similarly, you can have the same for a cloud version also, where the features are almost same. Additionally, the only benefit is what cloud brings, that is a managed service, a fully managed cloud, and then automated upgrades and backups. So you don't have to worry about all that, and you just sign up and then use it. So you have the out of the box SMTP server. So if you're going for a self-hosted version, you will have to use your own SMTP. Whereas with enterprise, you get with cloud version, you get out of the box SMTP server. Other than that, like the features remain the same. So looking at the features, so I already mentioned some of these, but I wanted to touch base on some of the features in detail. So when we talk about sharing dashboard updates via email, so you can actually set alerts on specific dashboards to be sent to specific user groups or user email IDs. You can still embed your dashboards in your application. So suppose you have a custom application where you want to incorporate dashboards. So you can do that by embedding your public URLs, which is generated by the open source version. Also, as part of the dashboard, you can have some filters and links also provided. So the user can actually play with the Metabase data as part of your entire the existing application. Also, you have a data modeling option where you can actually look at how your data is, and then you can further set field visibility, formatting, and all on your data modeling. Also, you can set up any custom destination where you want to send where you want to share your dashboards, and that could also be any other parameterized URL, like any other third-party tool. Also, with the open source version, also you can have Google sign-in, so you can set up your Google sign-in, so the users can sign in with Google, and LDAP authentication and LDAP group mapping. So you can create groups, you can assign roles to the user. So the basic functionality for sign up and LDAP is available in the open source. Also, a very nice feature which Sai Sriram, when he's going through the demo, he'll showcase the X-rays, where you can actually get into the details. So if you're like looking at a chart and you want to look into the details of a specific point in the chart, so X-ray is a very good feature which actually it's like a drill down which opens up more details, and then you can further query and see the details of the data. So because your dashboard could be on a like huge volume of data, and then wherever you're seeing some outliers, so you would want to investigate it further. So that's where this feature will really help. So these are the things which come with open source. And if you want to go to the pro or enterprise version, then you can have a further like advanced authentication with single sign-on, so SAML or JWT, wherein if you're embedding your Metabase, so you can actually embed your entire Metabase into your application, and then with single sign-on, you can achieve like the seamless functionality of the user signing up in your like parent application automatically gets signed into Metabase, and whatever like access permissions you have given to the user, that same holds because it is associated with the sign-in. So that advanced embedding and authentication can be achieved. So all the advanced LDAP features like group membership filtering, admin group syncing. So all like having that extra level of control on the data and who will see what data you can achieve using this enterprise version. Also, if like the branding part of it, so using your colors, your theme, your brand logo, so all that can be done with the enterprise version. That is not available with the open source version. So there you have the default Metabase look and feel. Also the user table, and so the audit logs are generated for who is accessing your data, and what are the like maybe the dashboards which are more popular, or the tables which are being looked at more. So you can actually monitor and have a check on who is looking at what. So also like it gives you an opportunity to see like what particular question is very like popular. So in the data, what are the questions which are looked at or which are being queried popularly. Also, you can achieve the row level permission. So when you can actually control like who is supposed to see the data at a granular row level. So all this you can achieve with the pro or enterprise version. So moving on, I would hand over to Sai Sriram. So he'll be taking you through the installation and show you the demo of how Metabase works and how you can achieve all these things in Metabase, followed by the comparison with the other tools. So over to you, Sriram.
Yeah, thank you, Abhilasha. Yeah, hello everyone. I will start with installation. What are the installation steps we need to follow for installing Metabase? So it is pretty much simple. You just need to first download the jar file from the Metabase website, and then you can run this java-jar and metabase.jar simply by switching over to the folder where you have downloaded, or you can specify the absolute path of the Metabase jar file where it is located on your machine, and then it will take 1 or 2 minutes for it to showcase that Metabase initialization complete. Once that is done, you can run this local host, because since it is installed on your local machine, you can run this local host 3000 in your browser, and you're ready to start when you're ready to go with your Metabase instance. Let me walk you through the steps. I have it on my machine. Yeah, so we are here. So for the demo purpose, I have already downloaded the metabase.jar file, and it is available in my downloads folder. So I just need to run this command now to get started with. It will take 1 or 2 minutes for it to get us ready. it will install all the dependencies. It needs to install using this .jar file. Yeah, if you see here, we have this Metabase initialization complete, which took around maximum 1 or 2 minutes. So it is as easy as you cook a Maggi at home in 5 minutes, right? You're ready to get started with the BI tool, which is available. So if you run this localhost 3000, it will show you this interface. You just need to quickly give your details like username and password, and you're ready to go with Metabase instance. So here first we start with how we add a database. So for this purpose, we are, so this is the admin panel. For example, if you click on the settings, it will take you to the admin settings where you have different options like database, adding a database, and permissions, data modeling. Here we would start with adding a database. So click on this add database. And these are all the different major popular DB switcher or data warehouses which are available for connection. You just need to select it. Here in our case, we're using Snowflake. So we would select Snowflake. So then fill all these details or the name, which is friendly name according to you, like a sample Snowflake kind of, and then fill in these account name, username, and password of your Snowflake instance, and then you're ready to go. So once we added this JB, we have an option for data modeling in Metabase where we can actually change settings, or if you want to hide a table which should not be visible to everybody. So we can do all these here. For example, our table here is to go with instance DB. So once you click here, by default, we have an option whether we want it to be queryable or we want it to be hidden. So this happens when you don't want all the tables to be visible to the users in your organization. We have this option to make it hidden. And in case, for example, if we have a date column, and even though in the DB it is the text, but we want Metabase to render it as a date, so we have an option to cast. So casting is available. For example, just need to click on, for example, assume that state is actually date column, which is as a text column, but we would want to cast it as a date. So here we just go on the settings of the particular column, and then we want to cast to a specific data type. It can be date. So those kind of changes we can make it in Metabase, but this doesn't change these actual data type on the DB. It just changes the data how Metabase renders. So these are the data modeling options which we have. For example, if you want to see the default original schema of the DB, just click on this option. It will show you what are the columns and their data types in the DB. So this is data modeling which we have. Let's see how we can create dashboards in Metabase. For example, here we can browse the data. What are the DBs which we have, and then see the tables. So these are all the tables which we have in our Snowflake DB, but we are interested in our instance DB table, which is here. So if you see the right hand, this is the X-ray this table. So what X-ray this does is, this actually Metabase by itself scans the table and arranges in a meaningful format without us creating any visualizations by default. It will try to get the insights on its own. For example, it gives the total number of columns or instance data by total budget. These are all done by Metabase itself. If at all you want to give a high level look without creating any dashboards, X-rays option will give you what Metabase by default can categorize this information and show as dashboards. But if you are not happy with this, but this doesn't actually make sense, because not every team want to visualize all this data at once. Only specific team want to view specific kind of data, even though we have multiple columns and multiple amounts of data in the same table. So for that purpose, we would need to go with creating visualizations to make sense for the team. So for example, in Metabase, when we talk about creating charts or graphs, Metabase languages, everything is a question. So we need to create question. Either there are two types. One is simple question, where using GUI, we can select the summarization, whether we want to count the number of columns or summarize the values, or we want to group by a particular column. That can be either done by GUI or through an SQL query. So if you're tech savvy, you can directly go with SQL query questions. But if there will be some people in the organization who just want to use GUI to create dashboards using the data which is available in the table. So in that case, you can click on direct question first, which is option available, and then select the DB which you are interested in. In our case, it is Snowflake, and we want to go with instance data table. So here we have either we can apply filters by selecting a particular column. For example, I want to select a BU. Out of it, I want to select only a cost BU, and I'll add filter. And then I want to sum off. So I want to get the sum of what is the actual budget or what is the actual spent by this particular BU. And then I click on create visualization. So this is a negative. So this is how simple it is to create a data or to view numbers. So by default, we have, these are all the chart types which are available in Metabase. It comes to around 15 to 16 chart types. Based on this data, which we are trying to visualize, it will by default suggest what are the appropriate kind of visual which can be used to display this data. So accordingly, we can choose a number, or if you want to see it as a progress bar, we can select that, and we can do the formatting, or we can, if you want to see it as a currency, we can select whether the style will be in currency, and we can select a particular type of currency there. And display, if you want to choose a particular color, you can select the options available. But for coloring, and there not be many colors available, but these are all the by default colors which are provided by Metabase. So if you want to change color, change the color here. And these are the customizations which you can make, and these customization options vary from visual type to visual. Since it is only a number, it is giving only display and formatting, since we have selected a particular kind of bar graph, but it is different for bar graph and different for gauge chart or different for a donut chart. So that's how, and just click on done once you're done with your visual, and then click on save. So here we can say, we can give a name of the chart, for example, YTD actual for COPS, and then click on save. And click on, it will ask us whether we want to add this visual to a particular dashboard. Click on yes, and then, for example, in this case, we are creating insurance dashboard. Since the data is belonging to an insurance organization, so we are using Snowflake as a data source. And then we can click on, you can select this dashboard. Either you can create a new one on the same name or a different name. Here, these are all default charts which we have already used this data and created it. We just need to drag and drop, and according to the size and fit, which can be visually appealing, and click on save. So this is how simple it is to create a visual or a chart in Metabase. Even though if you're not tech savvy, we have an option to use GUI. Just select the column names and then create a visualization. Another thing which we have is SQL query. So using SQL query, for example, we have this chart where we have, you can click on open editor. So this is the query which we have written for the data which we want to display. For example, here it is a month to date revenue which we want to display for all the month-wise revenue overall across all the BUs for this organization. So this is how we write the query. If at all you want to specify a particular column as a filter, for example, I want to add another column as a filter, the syntax is very simple. You just need two flower brushes and select the type. For example, I want to add fiscal year. As or financial year. Fiscal year as one of the filter. Once you type this syntax, it will appear as one of the filter, and you can actually attach it to one of the columns in your database. For example, here it is insurance data. Then the field to which it needs to be attached is physical. That's how using SQL queries you can by default define the filters which need to be available. For example, for this particular visualization, all these columns or column names can be one of the filter columns on this particular visual. Once we define here, click on save. It will save the changes. It will replace the question. Now we will look at how filters can be applied in Metabase. Click on the edit option once you create all these visuals. So the reason we have specified the columns in SQL queries is so that those columns names will be available to apply the filter. For example, if you're creating questions through simple questions, by default, all the columns will be available to be attached as a filter. For example, I need to create a filter here. I'll click on edit, and then we have an option called add a filter. So if I click on here, by default, there are time, location, ID, number, which can be different filter types. But if you want to add a particular filter pertaining to a particular column, we just click on text or category. Here we want to add a drop-down filter. For example, I just click the drop-down, and I would choose the name for this filter, which is BU, because I would want to attach this filter to BU column and all these visuals, so that when I select a BU, I choose a particular BU, and all this data will be displaying respective to that particular BU. So I select the label as BU, and then in the columns for this particular visual, I select as BU again. This is how you can actually define. For example, I want to apply filter on month wise, and I would select the column as FI, label name as FI month, and then select the column as FI month. Sorry. And select this FI month in all the filter or the visuals where you would want to see the FI month wise data. So here also we have FI month, because we want these visuals to display the data based on our month. If I select a month, these should be displaying. For example, this filter, we don't have FI month as one of the filter. What we can do is MTD revenue. We can this is created using SQL query. So in questions created by SQL query, unless and until we define the column names in the where query, they will not be available for filtering option. So that is one thing to remember while you're creating questions in SQL. So since I have selected all these FI month and attached this label for this filter as FI month, I'll click on done. So now we have this filter available. Click on save, and then click on this filter, and you have all these options, because this is attached to the FI month column in the DB table. So I will select a particular month, for example, October. It will show as it will change the data according to the month for that particular month. So all this data will change according to it. That's how you apply filters, or one can apply filters on Metabase, and how you create questions in Metabase. And then we look at how these dashboards can be shared with the people in your organization. For that, first we need to look at what are the options through which we can share this dashboard or publish this, or we can schedule the reporting. For example, on every day morning 9 o'clock, I want my team members to know about the status of these reports. For example, I can schedule a 9 a.m. report so that all these visuals will be sent, because these data will get, for example, assume that the data will get refreshed early in the morning or 8:30, because all the data will be refreshed in the table, in the DB table in the backend. The previous data it includes, and according to that, the data here also varies on that particular day, on every day, in fact. So if I want to schedule a 9 o'clock reporting all these dashboards to my team, how we can do it. So here we have an arrow, upward arrow. I mean, it's almost 45 degrees arrow. Sharing, click on sharing. And then here we have dashboard subscriptions. So these are all the existing subscriptions which we have created. For example, if I want to create a new subscription, we have an option either through email or through Slack. So adding an email and Slack, I'll quickly get you to the option where you can add your email, which includes your SMTP server or your Slack app channel. I'll take you to there. So here in the admin settings, we have email. So we have set up our SMTP for this purpose, and even our Slack app has been added here, Slack bot, user auth token, and Slack channel name. You can change the channel names here, but for reference, we need to give at least one channel name here. So this is how you add your email and Slack, through which you share dashboards to your team members. So click on exit admin. Now we'll go to the dashboard and see how we can share dashboards. So sharing this dashboard through subscriptions. Here, click on create subscription. Here I want to use it Slack. I want this reports to be sent to a particular Slack channel, because these are all the different channels which I have in real-time scenario. Your organization might have different Slack channel for different teams. For example, HR might have a separate Slack channel, or your financial team might have a separate Slack channel. Accordingly, you can select the Slack channel where these information to be reached. For example, in this case, I'm selecting a random Slack channel which is available, and I can select whether I want it to be sent hourly or daily. If I select daily, I can set up a particular time at which this information to be shared with my team in Slack or email. Options will be available in both. Here we are using Slack as a reference, and we can set the timeline on a daily basis or weekly basis, because there will be some reports which need to be viewed on weekly basis, or there will be some dashboards which you create which need to be reviewed on a monthly basis. For example, majorly like revenue, or it can be some dashboards can be 6 months or yearly basis also. So accordingly, you can set these options on what basis this needs to be referred. So here also we can even set the filters. For example, here we are able to see the net revenue for the entire organization, which includes all the BUs. For example, for this random Slack channel, I want the team to know only to the particular. For example, in random Slack channel, there is only people who belong to the globe BU, right? I can even add the filter, and only according to this filter, the data will be shared with them. Even we have this option. It doesn't mean that if you have these many information here, this exact information need to be viewed by everyone when it gets shared. It's not like that. Even you can set the filters. So only that particular information will be shared to your team members according to their Slack channel. So this is how you create multiple subscriptions, where each team might have a different subscription for sharing the dashboards. So for example, we have these subscriptions as where demo project daily at 9 a.m. and general daily at 9 a.m. So this is our Slack channel. I will walk you through the. So for example, we have this demo project. See, if you see here, it gets the reports are getting shared in the Slack channel on a regular basis as per our timelines. Even the general Slack channel will get the reports. So that's how you can schedule, or one can schedule Metabase dashboards to their Slack or email. So now let's get to the point where we compare it with other popular BI tools. So hope my screen visible. Let me quickly share it again. The screen. I have two screens, so sorry for change. Yeah. So we have done with creating dashboards for financial health, where we can view the revenue and sharing the dashboard. We have looked at how using Slack and email options, we can share the dashboard on a regular basis. And let's go with comparison with other BI tools. So for this comparison purpose, we have 4 tools in place. One is which are 2 open source available along with paid Metabase, and 2 paid versions which are Power BI and Tableau. So when we look at the platform supported by these tools, Metabase is available as a jar file, or it can be installed on Mac OS and Docker and even Heroku Debian, and Power BI is available for Windows. And when we look at Tableau, it is available for Windows Server, RHEL, and then CentOS, Ubuntu, Debian. And then Superset is available for Docker, Linux, Mac, Kubernetes. And when we look at the sign-up time, even I think you have looked at the sign-up time in which I have started my Metabase instance. It's not even complete 10 minutes you have taken. We were able to start it in 5 to 6 minutes. So 10 minutes we consider, because we want to ensure that even the details which you enter after starting Metabase instance, like username, password, setting your account and all. So considering that, we see that it's a 10 minutes time to get started with Metabase. Whereas for Power BI, Tableau, and Superset, we should follow details steps for installation. Like for Tableau, we need to go with the Tableau server installation, in similar with other Power BI and Superset. And when we say the audience to which these tools cater, for Metabase, it is on BI and analytics, and it is same with Power BI and Tableau. Whereas with Superset, it needs some tech-savvy people to work on, because it is not the simple GUI just like we created in Metabase. It would need some querying and some technical knowledge for data exploration and create visualizations in Superset. And when we look at DB connected dependencies, when we looked at Metabase for adding a database, we would simply need the details of the DB endpoint, like username, what is the DB name, what is the username and password. So those kind of details would be sufficient to get add your DB or data warehouse to Metabase, Power BI, and Tableau. Whereas for Superset, we would need Python DB API driver and SQL Alchemy compatibility for the particular DB or a data warehouse to get connected to Superset. And when we look at the limitations on the data, so Metabase allows 15 connections per DB. When we say 15 connections, it's about a number of concurrent queries that can be run on the DB. For Metabase, whereas for Power BI, it can't accept a file size larger than 1 GB if you're using a Excel sheet. For Tableau, it is per site it is 100 GB, and for individual workbook or data source it is 15 GB. And for Superset, it handles petabyte scale of data. That is one advantage of Superset. Even though it is available open source, it is compatible, or it can handle petabyte scale data. And when we look at shareability for Metabase, we have public URLs and public embed, or for blog or web page. And then you can have dashboard subscriptions where you can share dashboards through email or Slack. And for Power BI, you would need Pro license to share your reports or dashboards. And for Tableau and Superset, we can do role-based permissions to share your dashboards. And when we look at embedded analytics, it is about integrating. Embedded analytics Metabase allows you to embed the entire app into an application server code. Though it is with enterprise version or pro version, it has that compatibility. And for Power BI, it can be embedded in Microsoft Teams. And for Tableau, if you want to embed a Tableau dashboard, Tableau has a specific set of JavaScript API and REST API and Tableau repositories, which can be used to embed into an application. But embedding a Tableau dashboard is a bit, it's not so easy process, just like how Metabase supports or Superset supports with the help of iframes with the Superset authentication. And when we look at programming languages in which these tools are written, Metabase is written in Clojure. So Clojure Clojure is easy to use. So if at all you want to, for example, we have 20 DB connectors by default, right, which are by default given by Metabase. But if at all you think your DB is not listed there, you can build a DB connector and you can use Clojure programming language, since Metabase is written in Clojure programming language. So having a Clojure is advantageous because it is easy to learn with, and if you get hands-on, you can even build your own custom DB connector if at all your DB is not listed in one of the default 20 DBs which are supported by Metabase. And then Power BI is written in .NET, and Tableau, C++, Java, and Python. And Superset is based on Python, TypeScript, or JavaScript. And when we look at the programming languages, these tools are compatible to query the data inside these tools. And in Metabase, you can use SQL. In Power BI, it is powered by DAX, M, and Python, but you would need data sources might need to be set to public if you want to use Python, which we need to consider security if at all you want to use Python in Power BI. In Tableau, it is SQL and Python again, which we can use to query the data. And in Superset, it is SQL. And if you look at the type of authentication these tools have in place, for Metabase, it is Google Auth, LDAP, and SSO, and for Power BI, it is based on Azure AD. And Tableau, it is on SAML, Kerberos, Mutual SSL, OpenID, and OAuth. And Superset is OAuth, LDAP, DB, OpenID, remote user. And when we look at the access control and permissions in Metabase, it is based on groups. So if at all you want to add, or if you have multiple people in the organization and you want to segregate the permissions among these people, you can use groups in Metabase. Whereas in Power BI, Tableau, and Superset, it is based on roles, where you can define the roles and permissions and policies. And when it comes to visualization types, which is visualization capability, Metabase has a 15 plus type of visualization, and Power BI comes with 25 plus types of visualizations, like different types of graphs, charts, and Tableau comes with 20 plus types of visualization, and Superset with 30 plus types of visualization, which is very vast. And the thing is, if your team is tech savvy, Superset is the best open source option to go with, because it is very powerful. If at all you have some technical person in the team to work on visualizations. And when we look at the organizations which are suitable for these different types of tools, for Metabase, it is easy for individual users, or if it is a growing team, and if you doesn't want to spend too much on licensing costs, if at all you want to take a license of Metabase. In such scenario, Metabase is a good option to go with visualization. Even it is easy to start with in all scenarios. And for Power BI and Tableau, we would, organization which can bear a good licensing cost, then they can go with the Power BI and Tableau. And Superset is suitable for any individual or organization with a technical knowledge, because it is completely free. And finally, we look at Metabase strengths. It has multiple DB connections. The major popular DB connections or DB are already listed in Metabase to get started easily with your database, connecting your database and create visualization. It has easy query systems to create visualization. You have simple questions, which doesn't require of having a technical knowledge. And it has SQL queries. If at all you have some expertise on SQL, you can easily write SQL query and create visualizations. And it has intuitive charts where it helps you drill down into the data once you click on it. And it is easier to get new developers up to the speed using the Clojure language, so that you can start building your own custom DB connectors or any customization which you want to make. And it is easy to share and embed using public embedding and public sharing options. And if at all you want to go embed this into an app, you just need to Metabase will generate the code which can be embedded into your application server, so that even Metabase app completely can be embedded into your application. So one is the other thing is Clojure language, which is powered by JVM, which is stable, and which is easy for any developers to get started, so that they can start building their own customizations like custom DB connectors and all. And more scope for dashboard personalization, where even sharing the dashboards can be customized, like which kind of information to be shared to which team. So those kind of options are available. And even you just need a single jar file to get started with Metabase instance on your machine or any of the local host in your local environment. So these are all the Metabase strengths. And let's look at when to go with Metabase. For example, if you're a small organization and you're looking for an open source visualization tool, which is simple and easy to start with, and you won't need not heavy charts, then it is a very good option for you. But if you're also a startup and you need quick business intelligence tool and want to get updates on KPIs by email or Slack that can be shared within your organization among your teams, even you can go with Metabase. But if you're also a large organization and if you want to save or if you want to don't spend too much of licensing cost with comparatively with the low cost of enterprise versions or professional version, and you can and also to embed your dashboards into your application in few minutes, even then Metabase is a good option for you. And with that, we would say thank you for your time. Let's go with any Q&A which we have in our queue. How do you, we're looking at the questions, how do you compare it with other tools in regards to long running queries, collaborating or sharing, and data export? I think we have covered collaboration or how the sharing can be done in Metabase when compared with other tools, and even the data export, how we connect to a DB, and the long running queries. So even we have discussed about number of connections that can be at a time to a Metabase instance or the DB which is present in Metabase. How is Metabase in alerting and reporting compared to Power BI and Tableau? UI driven or what? Yes. So using Slack and email options, you can create alerts or you can create the reports to be published in a particular point of time in your Slack or email. I think this one we covered in the differences of how dashboards can be shared in Metabase when compared to Power BI or Tableau. So the other question is, how is Metabase selection of officially supported data sources? I think we have gone through the list during the demo, where we have the predefined database connections which are available. What is the ranking in Gartner chart? We would be covering or we would keep you posted on this Gartner chart. Yeah.
Thank you, Sai. I think we have a few more questions, but they're in the chat box, if you can see.
Just a minute, I'm looking at it.
If you can just scroll down to the very bottom, we have a bunch of questions from Ranjit.
Yeah, can I customize card styles or add custom colors? Yes, we don't have any vast coloring options in Metabase, but we do have coloring options in Metabase, but not that much vast coloring options. Does it support multiple devices for viewing dashboards like tablet or mobile? Yes, since this is based on a web interface, even a web link can be accessed on your mobile or tablet or any devices which has a browser. So what about the other question is, what about the performance? Can you please throw light? What happens if number of records in table increases? So for example, for performance purpose, for example, when our data is keep increasing in a DB, we have an option called auditing in Metabase where we can audit which questions or which dashboards are taking too much time to load. Based upon that, we can make necessary changes in the query or in the segregation or in the options in the filtering, which we have already used to create the dashboard. And in such case, we can improve the performance using the audit logs. Can I? The other question is, can I add my custom visualization like custom maps? We do have map visualization in Metabase, which we can use using the data where we have state and geospatial inputs to create map visualizations. So
right. Yep. So I think that's all that we have for today. And we are out of time as well. So thank you once again, Abhilasha and Sai, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you have been enjoying our sessions and find them useful. We will be reaching out to you for more such live events on Metabase, data visualization, and data analytics. That's all for now. Thank you once again and goodbye.
yeah, thank you everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you.